checking in here on December 11th. I've got the microphone for this one because some people were complaining about low volume yesterday, so hopefully you can hear me better. And also, hopefully in this one, I won't make any mental mouth errors. In my interview with Roger Stone, I accidentally said that Tesla died in 1946, and he actually died in 43. And then yesterday, somebody pointed out that I had a picture of the Capitol building up here, and I accidentally called it the White House. So I'll do my best not to slip up. But, you know, as long as I don't slur my speech, I think I should be good, right? But anyway, hold on. Let me get my phone charging here so it doesn't die on you guys. Doop, doop. So the agenda in this one, we're going to talk Q, a couple Q drops that he posted, it posted last night. So we'll talk Q, we'll talk the bombing that just happened in New York, false flag. You know, once I saw that bombing had happened, instantly, the false flag alarms went off in my head. We'll talk that. We'll talk this whole press conference against Donald Trump with his sexual assault accusers. And then the Ninth Circuit Court judge that recently got outed for harassment. We'll make a couple connections there. And then another plane crash, coincidentally pretty close to Rothschild HQ in UK. So we'll discuss that. So let me do my fanciful turning over to the TV here. There we go. It always turns orange when I do that. All right, cool. So let's discuss these Q posts. We got just two of them dropped last night, late night, you know, as normal. And this first one says, blunt and direct time. Lately, these Q posts have been turning more blunt and direct because it seems like we need to start waking the heck up a little faster. So they've been getting more blunt. And it basically just says here, Adam Schiff is a traitor to our country. Leaker, national security evil. Hope the $7.8 million he probably took for leaking whatever he leaked was worth it. Enjoy the show. So looks like Adam Schiff is very close to being outed. And I was on Twitter this morning, and when I was on Twitter looking at like Jack Posobiec's page and some other people, they were outing him pretty hard because it's quite obvious that Schiff's time is very soon. And like I mentioned in my update last night, the stories that were leaked by sources to CNN, primarily about like WikiLeaks and Donald Trump Jr. and all that, they outed the leaker with these stories. It was like a perfect 4D chess move, and it looks like Adam Schiff is one of the people, one of the leakers that's being outed. And then in the next Q post it says false flags. President of the United States 100% insulated. Expect fireworks and justice. So these posts were, mind you, last night. I'm not sure if this is Eastern or Pacific time, but regardless, they were last night, right? Well before this New York City attack that occurred just this morning. So here's another corroborating point of evidence that whoever this Q person is and whatever they're affiliated with, they have access to information and technology, right? And of course, we've been theorizing that this Q person is associated with the NSA and has, you know, access to knowledge and clearances that able them to understand these things. But anyway, let's talk this New York City attack. So this attack happened this morning, and there's a video that you can find of the person actually setting off the explosive in the train station. I'm not going to play it because it's kind of morbid, but very soon after this explosion went off, the person claimed that they did it for the Islamic State and for Allah. And of course, the deep state cabal, you know, they love their 11 dates for their false flags. This happened on 12/11. We have 9/11, 7/11, the London bombings back in 2005. Some say Fukushima was in fact a false flag, and that earthquake was either nuclear weapon created or it was HARP created. But we had that happen on March 11th, 2011 in Japan. So this cabal loves 11 dates for their false flags, which is why this one, you could have guessed, especially with the way the storm is surging and multiple people, even higher names, are going to be outed, this Schiff thing, right? No wonder that the cabal would pull a false flag today. So we have that. Now let's talk about, speaking of the storm surging, I want to talk about this guy. This is, what's his name? Judge Alex Kozinski of the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. He has now had 7 women accuse him of sexual harassment. Now, interesting connection with this guy, the 9th Circuit has been in a nasty feud with the Trump administration over the travel ban. So it looks like whenever we have one of these deep state perps who just won't budge, they just won't give up, and they're trying to do whatever they can, they're still caught up by the deep state, or they just don't want to switch sides, they just get some sexual harassment charges filed against them, right? We're seeing it in Hollywood and in politics and in media. And now, since this guy is a part of the 9th Circuit Court that has been really hassling over this immigration ban, right? And remember, this immigration ban is for things like this. It's for these false flags and to keep many of the mercenaries out of the country, basically. So this guy, since he just wouldn't budge, looks like he's getting all of these sexual harassment charges against him. And I can only imagine some people are leaving some comments saying that Chuck Schumer might be outed very soon. Could be, I think that story floating around about the him having an affair with a cheerleader might be fake news or something to that effect, but the real stuff will come out in due time. I'm not worried about that. But I wanted to show you how this 9th Circuit judge is getting outed. And now let's talk about, speaking of sexual harassment, let's talk about this Megyn Kelly. I was just on the Washington Post. Their freaking thing wouldn't load. So let's talk about this Megyn Kelly press conference. We'll go to AOL here. They'll let me view their stuff. So Trump accusers to share harassment stories on Megyn Kelly today. Wow. And I have some connections to make right here. So this morning, Megyn Kelly, of course, she is now working for NBC News after leaving or being fired from Fox News earlier this year. She's now on NBC. And it was funny because her ratings were horrible on NBC to begin with. But now they're so-called coming back, right? I want to actually share that Washington Post article. I can't do it. It's not letting me. Anyway, now all of the deep state corporate media is claiming that, Megyn Kelly's ratings are returning. Well, why are they returning? It's because she's doing the bidding of her corporate masters. And they like her for it. So, of course, they'll say, she's doing a good job now. But anyway, Megyn Kelly had 3 of Trump's so-called accusers on her show this morning. And, of course, Trump has denied the claims. There's been plenty of evidence coming out saying that these claims are very false, but what it looks like is happening is that the corporate media is trying to jump on this sexual harassment bandwagon and then point a bunch of the fingers right back at Trump and then try to, you can just speculate as to why they're doing this. They're planning to the future to try and impeach him with these sexual harassment claims. But here's the connection. This press conference was put on by a organization called Brave New Films. They sponsored this whole press conference this morning. And who is the sponsor of this Brave New Films organization? None other than George Soros. Brave New Films, as you can see right here. Let me zoom in. Boop, boop, boop. Brave New Films, also funded by the Media Consortium, is run by the same people who run the Brave New Foundation. And these all obtain money from George Soros and his Open Society Foundation. Man, if your eyes are open, it just comes so blatant. And all you have to do is just type it in. Yeah, somebody said Brave New World from Aldous Huxley. It's probably an ode to that right there. So there's those connections. Now we will move to talking about North Korea a little bit here. Here's a news piece that was circulated around yesterday. It says, North Korea pushing for biological weapons factories. And I'm going to jump back to one of the Q-tips that he left us last week in saying that right here, whoop, this one is on the 4th, and it says, Red Cross is corrupt, used as a piggy bank. Future topic, diseases created by families in power, population control and pharma billions. Think AIDS, but there's many more bioengineered warfare agents than just AIDS. Future topic and relevant. So let's talk about that. North Korea now pushing for biological weapons. So it's quite obvious that North Korea is not going to get their nuclear programs off the ground. There's many things that's preventing that. Not only do we have off-world help that's helping the alliance with these, cabal freak shows, but we also have, you could say the alliance also has access to very high technology that's preventing North Korea from doing anything. So I'm not worried about nuclear holocaust or anything like that. So now North Korea, since the nuclear option is off the table, are now moving towards the biological warfare agent option. And you can only imagine where they got their access to that kind of technology. Deep state, Clinton Foundation, I can just imagine that, who knows if Bill Gates, somebody commented Bill Gates, who knows if he's connected. Bill Gates has been very into the vaccines and the GMOs, so it's not too much of a stretch to say that North Korea would get their technology for the biological aspect of it somehow, right? The CIA, remember, somewhat of a tangent here, when Operation Paperclip happened in the 40s and 50s, remember when all the German scientists came over from Germany and embedded themselves into different American corporations, the CIA then formed from the OSS. Many of these former Nazi scientists, of course, they went into the media, Operation Mockingbird and whatnot. They went into aerospace. Werner von Braun, plenty of these German scientists went into those corporations, the aerospace side of things, NASA. But they also went into medicine. Many of our current medical programs, of course, like vaccines, are based around the idea of eugenics that stems from the Nazi camps. So a lot of this biological weaponry stems from Nazi scientists and Nazi engineering. And now the deep state, of course, same group of people shuttling around the world. So I just wonder, questions there. I wonder where North Korea got the capacity for biological weapons. And now let's move into the Syria conflict, because we know, at least in the Middle East, ISIS is being completely destroyed. Russia's Putin orders significant withdrawal of troops from Syria. But of course, we still have the ISIS-inspired attacks in America. Wonder what three-letter agencies are helping that. But at least around the world, ISIS is getting rounded up a little more so. Now, last couple things I'm going to show you, and this is a shorter update than normal. Pilot dies in light aircraft crash near Chiswell Green. Don't know how to pronounce it, but a pilot has died after a light aircraft crashed moments after takeoff. And funny enough, this is only about 40 miles from the Rothschild estate in England. Funny enough, a couple weeks ago, remember, breaking news, the plane collided with the helicopter midair over the Rothschild family's Buckinghamshire estate. This was just a couple weeks ago. And now we have another craft come down very close. This is, not too far from that same estate. And coincidence? Maybe. But we've had a lot of people tell us lately that nothing is coincidence, so I can only wonder what happened here. But one thing that I actually missed in that helicopter and plane crash that occurred a couple weeks ago was that right here, I totally missed this line, I was still wondering if this was a whole coincidental thing when this happened a couple weeks ago, but here's this line. A man was standing with me near the site of the crash. He told me they should have picked up the call. I turned toward him to ask what he meant, but he just vanished. Right? This is very weird. And remember, a lot of these Q posts are referencing the Rothschilds, fly Roths, fly. So was this actually a coincidence, this plane and helicopter crash 2 weeks ago? Or was there a man standing there saying they should have picked up the call as a hint to the Rothschilds? And on that note, is this new crash that we have another hint to the Rothschilds? Who knows, you know? I wonder who is piloting this and if it actually is connected, but we'll see. You know, I'm sure more information will come out by it. And then last thing I want to share with you guys in this morning's update is this article by the Science Alert. I like to lurk around mainstream science websites every now and again just to see what kind of bullshit they're spewing out, whether it's bullshit on vaccines or cancer cures or new scientific discoveries about dark matter and gravitational waves and whatever. But anyway, I found this article this morning on Science Alert, which is a very bad mainstream science outlet. But this is discussing how some YouTubers think the California wildfires are a conspiracy and we can't even. So quite obvious that the information and the anomalies, the weirdness around these California fires are spreading into the public consciousness. And so much so that the corporate media now has to, of course, the deep state, they got to do their damage control with it. So they're referencing a couple YouTube channels and whatnot in, oh, it's so crazy that people are questioning these California fires. And right here, this is my favorite line. They're talking literally about the directed energy weapons on Science Alert here. And they said, but the reality is there is zero evidence to suggest such a weapon exists outside of science fiction. Absolute lie. We have plenty of evidence to show that the Strategic Defense Initiative was working with directed energy weapons. The Air Force has planes already outfitted, you know, as of over a decade ago with laser weapons on them. And there's plenty of evidence to suggest that the directed energy weapons, more so scalar weaponry, or the Tesla death ray, as people would call it, that's been around in black projects for decades, right? And even more technology than that. So big whole lie in just that line right there. And I wanted to show you this article because I was going down some rabbit hole tangents on the California wildfires yesterday, and I will be doing some video reports on them later today and tomorrow as well, specific. So I just wanted to show you guys this article and tell you guys that that'll be one of my next videos coming up, is on these, all the oddness around these California wildfires. So anyway, that's the video for this morning, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and I will be back with some more later. We'll see what happens today. I expect a very intense week in store, so we'll see what happens. Take care, guys. Have a great day.